What's going on, guys? This is Joey Young. Today I am going to be remaking a video on how to keep Discus 101 the basics. So in the past you can take a look, I made several parts on how to keep Discus, but I kind of want to make just one video that kind of sums up everything, and it's an easy, straight to the point what you need to do in order to keep Discus. I really want to make this video for the people who are really interested in jumping into keeping Discus and they're kind of afraid, and this will kind of hopefully help you guys ease your nerves a little bit. Let's start by saying whatever you think you know about Discus or whatever you've heard out there, let's first off, let's throw that out of the water. Just forget about it. There's a lot of myths, there's a lot of things that people say, a lot of them, are true and a lot of them aren't, and I will try to hopefully explain a lot of that in this video. Alright guys, so I'm going to kind of go through kind of almost like a checklist of things that, every beginner and even, experts should know about keeping Discus and things to consider. So the first thing is temperature. Set your temperature at 84 plus, doesn't matter. 84 degrees Fahrenheit to 86, doesn't matter, just keep it in that range, simple as that. pH, who cares? Stability is the key. A lot of people buy these buffers, buy these other things to put in their water. Don't even bother with it nowadays, unless you're getting wild Discus. These Discus that are bred can definitely live in pretty much any pH range as long as it's stable. Alright, food. When it comes to food, Discus are very picky eaters. I'm going to say that straight up. They're very picky eaters, but they can be trained. So, with time, you can train your Discus to take flakes, take pellets, take really anything. For my Discus, I started off with blackworms. So, for beginners, find some blackworms, just the cube ones that are dried. Start them off of those and then slowly transition to whatever you want to feed them. So if you want to feed them flakes, start introducing only flakes. And then when you're kind of worried that they're not eating enough, throw in a cube of blackworms and make sure they eat. Now, the process of that will take time, like I mentioned. You may want to starve them a couple days and they'll be fine. Fish can go on days without eating, so you don't have to worry about that. Alright, next topic is bare bottom or a planted tank when you first start off with Discus. I'm going to tell you this right off. There's definitely pros and cons, but this is a bigger debate. You can definitely do either one. Obviously, bare bottom is a little bit easier to clean versus planted tank, just with the substrate and whatnot, but you can do either one. So let's keep it at that. Now, when it comes to water change for Discus, it's very important. You have to have a really consistent schedule, and I'm going to put this number out there. Again, it's debatable. For my tank, and you see my success over the years with this Discus tank, right? I've been doing 50% water change weekly. Now, that I would say is a bare minimum. So keep on to that schedule. But we have people that do daily water changes. There's nothing wrong with that. And they do every other day. There's nothing wrong with that. They even do larger water changes. There's nothing wrong with that either. The key in water changes is to keep your water nice and clear and really clean for the Discus. Alright, moving on to the next topic, tap water or OR water. So basically reverse osmosis water. Obviously, RO water is a lot better for the Discus just because your TDS is going to be 0 when you're doing water changes. If you have the option of using RO water, definitely, I recommend using that. You can definitely keep Discus in tap water. I'm going to say it right now, this tank that I have set up currently has been tap water from day one. So it's been up for almost about 3 years now, and it's completely tap water. I haven't done any RO water in this tank at all. The tap water comes out for TDS around like 180-ish for TDS. and you know, it's a little high, but you know, obviously my discus are doing fine, so it's definitely possible. So either way, you can definitely do tap water or OR water. Alright, as a beginner, when you're buying your discus, I highly recommend you get them from a good breeder or a good supplier. Now I'm going to throw out some names in terms of where you can get discus, because a lot of people ask me from time to time, hey, you know, where do you get your discus from? And you know, how do you know it's a good breeder or a supplier or whatever? Kenny's Discus, all of my discus are Kenny's Discus. So, you know, if you like the way they look, you like the colors, Kenny's Discus. Han's Discus, Chicago's Discus, Tony Tang's Discus. These are really reputable breeders in the industry and just in the hobby itself for discus. Obviously, there's a lot more, you know, other people out there that do breed discus that are very well known. I'm just kind of throwing a couple of names out there for you guys to kind of just start and just kind of like look into. Definitely when you're buying discus and you're kind of like afraid of ordering them online, just read up on the reviews. Just simply Google wherever you're buying the stuff, you know, from, and just see the reviews. If you have like any negatives, you know, look into those. You know, obviously if you have negative reviews, there's something wrong. And with, you know, these discus that I bought from Kenny, he has absolutely no negative reviews. It's completely 100% positive. So just a thing to kind of look into when you're buying discus. Kind of when you're buying discus, as a beginner, I recommend you guys start the size at least 3 inches to 3.5 inches. Anything smaller than that, it's going to be very difficult to keep, and that's just through experience. And I'm going to say this because a lot of the juvenile discus, they don't really have a good immune system built up yet, so they're really susceptible for just really any changes, any diseases, stuff like that. I mean, that's just how it is for any fish, really. So if you can afford or even like purchase, you know, anything bigger, obviously the bigger the better, but start with at least a minimum of 3 inches or larger. At that size, they are, you know, pretty durable and they're pretty hardy already. So when you're starting off discus, a lot of people ask, like, you know, how many can I get, and what size tank, etc., etc. A minimum of a 50-gallon, I would say, is a good start for a discus tank. Definitely you can go smaller if you're just trying to breed them. If you're getting like a pair, you can do them in like a 25. But obviously that's really just temporary. It's not, you know, permanent. But if you're looking for a permanent home for them, at least a 50-gallon is a good size. And then from there, how many do you normally buy and how many can you normally stock? A rule of thumb, what I kind of went off of was pretty much one discus, and I'm going off adult size. One discus per 10 gallons, pretty much. And obviously as they get larger, you can kind of increase that number, but that's kind of the rule of thumb that I kind of go off of when you're buying discus. And then when you're obviously when you're starting and you have a brand new tank, try to introduce them in groups of 3 or more. Obviously discus are kind of a schooling fish, and they kind of prefer having other discus around. If you only throw in one discus in a tank, especially a large tank, it's going to be really skittish, it's going to be really scared, it's going to be always hiding in the back. So the more familiar faces it sees in the tank, it's going to be a lot happier, a lot active, and it's going to come out a lot more for you. Alright, so I kind of talked a lot about a bunch of stuff, but those are really just the basics in terms of keeping discus. If you guys can just follow those simple steps, you won't have any issues keeping discus. Now, if you guys kind of just forgot everything about whatever I said, just try to remember this one important key part in the video. Make sure you buy the discus from a reputable supplier or breeder. I think that is the most important thing in terms of keeping discus. I would say 90% of the time with discus death it's either in bad shape from poor care or just not really good when you initially bought the discus. So buying from a reputable breeder or supplier, you can eliminate that just from the from the equation. So then it really just focuses on you maintaining the parameters in the tank, and those are really easy. So definitely just try to take that into account, buy it from a good supplier, and then you'll be all set. Alright guys, so I hope you guys learned a little bit something about keeping Discus, and I hope you guys do take a chance and jump into keeping Discus. It's definitely very, very awesome to see these beautiful fish. It's definitely probably the king of freshwater. It's something that I recommend everyone in the freshwater community to get at some point in their life. And I would say this is probably the ultimate goal in terms of freshwater, is keeping Discus healthy and happy. So let me know what you guys think about the video. Definitely post the comments below, like, subscribe, the usual. And until the next time guys, peace.